right, welcome everybody to this week's showing, November the 5th, 2023 of Ohio Valley Lawncare Dirt Late Model Series here at Lanes Raceway. And we have a show for you for sure, as we have 11 entrants here at Lanes Raceway. So right now you can see 4 of the 8 cars needed to start the race. We're going to leave you over here on the oval section of the screen. We'll be right back with you when the racers are ready to roll. All right, ladies and gentlemen, they're all ready. We're ready too. Let's get this baby underway. Racers, are you ready? Watch your lights. Here we go, folks. I don't know if you're excited, but I am. I love this series. I'll say it like I've always said it. It's my favorite series of the season. Ohio Valley Late Model Dirt Series here at Lanes Raceway. We're talking brutal battles out of the gate. Jackson Darty out in the lead, 3 laps. Bruce Bulletin right behind him. Weston right behind him. These guys, they've been doing it for a bit. We get a car come completely off the track. 1:47 seconds left to go here. As we got what seems to be Guillermo Sire bringing the car back there on green. That's Carson Ross's car. And it looks like Garrett Burden doesn't have brushes in his car, folks. He was busy working on his controller. I don't know if you guys seen in the previous race in the IndyCar series, Garrett had some issues with his controller. Literally, a nut backed out on his trigger where he put a trigger mod in it, and it backed out and got lodged into the controller and made him go full throttle into the wall, bending his axle on his IndyCar. But nonetheless, he's got it back in working order, and everything seems to be on the up and up. So we'll get them brushes in on that car. We should be going green racing here. But he losing 6 laps. That's pretty brutal in this series for those that don't know. Probably not going to bring home a victory today simply because of those 6 laps. I mean, that's how brutal it is in this series. Very, very, very competitive and close. The minimum breakout time here is 2 seconds, just like our GRC series. So if you go faster than 2 seconds, you will break out. As we can see, Bruce Bullington taking the lead right now on blue lane, and his car is smooth, folks. Look at that thing as it comes off of Dead Man's Corner and through the crook with the back just locked in tow. Perfect line. As he makes a nice clean pass on Glenn Burden on the upside of yellow. He is screaming here, folks. 2.08 median and a 2.031 best lap. Scorching fast here. As we see several cars getting involved in the incident here, all of those cars going to be back at the start-finish line. 1:19 seconds left to go. Four red lights are dropping out to a green. We have 4 cars right there. Black, yellow, and blue is the ones I had seen. So Bruce, Glenn, and Weston having to start over for sure there. But we got 1:10 left to go here. Jackson out in the lead with 24 laps. Bruce Bullington right there behind him with 25. Nathaniel Burden 24. Weston 24. Glenn 24. Jay Latham 23. Carson 23. And Garrett 19. Of course, Garrett having a Le Mans style start race as he didn't have his braids on, rushing to his car to hit the track call button with 6 lap punishment pretty much. Like I said, 44 seconds left to go, and Jackson staying good in tow here, as we can see here, keeping his constitution about him down there on purple lane, running nice, close, consecutive medians here. Jackson running a 2.13, best lap of 2.089 down low. Bruce Bullington, though, scorching there on blue. Beautiful thing to see. Bruce probably going to have some issues as he comes down lower on the hog here because of how fast his car is on blue. Bruce definitely going to be somebody to keep an eye on as we continue on in this race. 3 racers out currently right now on the track marshaling gig. That's Gabriel Kirtley, Randy Kirtley, and Guillermo Sire. But this is poised to be probably the best Ohio Valley Dirt Late Model Series race to date. So we get a red flag rotation. 3 cars come to a gentle breeze stop here at the High Banks portion of the track. One of those cars being Glenn Burden, and down on black looks to be Weston. So we head over here to the track, making see a full view of this. 56 all the way down to 43. But if we are being really conservative about those values, it would be more or less 56 to 48, really, because Garrett had a rough start with no brushes in his car. 56-56 tied up front for Jackson and Bruce. Nathaniel 53, 52-52 for Weston and Glenn as they're tied up, trying to battle for 3rd position. Carson, Jay, 48, and Garrett down at the bottom. bottom currently with 43. We're going to see another racer come in this heat, and it's going to either be Guillermo, Gabriel, or Randy going to come in on red lane. Going to jump over here to the oval, and it looks to be Guillermo's going to be the guy coming in this heat. So keep an eye out there. We see Action Jackson himself, one of the leaders here right now, working on his car as he goes to polish it up and do things needed. We did have a giveaway a while ago. Randy Kirtley ended up getting it. It was a coveted Parma clear dirt late model body. Minute and 30 seconds. We'll be right back with you. All right, 4 red lights dropping out to green. Here we go, folks. Jackson, your leader right now, followed by Bruce Bullington there on purple lane. It's going to be a battle between these two. As we look there on purple lane at Bruce Bullington, he's coming up behind Jackson there in his pink car, losing a little bit of traction there coming out of Dead Man's Corner. But it looks like he's gaining just a little bit on Jackson. But what he gains a little bit on Jackson, it seems like Jackson every once in a while gains just a little bit back. So it's a little bit give and take here, as we see a nice clean move on the inside of Weston there from Bruce Bullington. Bruce taking that lead, of course, from him. And we see a real slowdown, harsh mark slowdown there on purple lane for Bruce, as he's trying not to break out here. He's very, very close. 2.33 is his average. Jackson running with everything he's got with a median of 2.07. We can see him coming up to the bottom side of Bruce here, fixing to make the dive bomb move, it looks like. Bruce not giving an inch, though. Will they both make it out alive? I don't know. It's very, very close, as we see the Constitution of Jackson give up here, almost causing a full-blown J here. The racing tactics of Bruce definitely outswayed Jackson on that, as Jackson really wanted to make the pass, but Bruce was setting himself up to accelerate late on the end of the corner, causing a little bit of an optical illusion to take place there, which kind of threw Jackson off, making him overshoot the turn there. Nonetheless, we see Jackson still in the lead currently here, losing just about 3 or 4 foot worth of track. And it looks like, folks, we got everybody but 2 people getting restarted on this. The only ones that made it out alive, Bruce Bullington and Guillermo Sire. Everybody else was involved in the incident. 4 red lights are going to drop out to green. We're going back racing. I'm telling you what, it's going to be tough. Like I said, you can't really wreck in this series because everybody's so lock and toed, tight down close, that if you do wreck or you do miss more than like 3 or 4 laps, it's very detrimental. As we see Jackson actually taking a loss of 2 laps here over the wreck of Nathaniel Burden off the top, coming all the way down into Jackson's lane on black, collecting him up. This is definitely not what Jackson wants to see, as he's running for the lead there. Weston and Glenn got a battle going on there, 85 laps. Nathaniel right there behind them with 84. Nathaniel currently, the past 3 races, I believe, has been finishing first place. Glenn Burden currently As you can see from the wing, he is currently our points leader here at Lanes Raceway in the Ohio Valley Dirt Late Model Series. But we still have a whole lot of racing left to go all the way till the end of December in this series. So many things can change, and with the crowd getting bigger and bigger in the Ohio Valley Dirt Late Model Series, it's still anyone's guess what it can turn out to be. And as you can see, we got a lot of tight, close racing here. We're talking about novice level whenever it comes to handling, so wrecks mean a million times more. So we see Weston going all the way to the high side, collecting Nathaniel Burden there, the two cars involved in the incident there, as we see Garrett Burden grab both those cars and put them back at the start-finish line. This is the second wreck this heat that Nathaniel Burden's been involved in, and this is definitely not what you want to see if you're trying to run for those front positions here in this series. Because like I said, a wreck is very, very brutal in this series. So Jackson with the best lap of a 2.015. He's right there on the hairline edge of it. And his median is just as exceptional with the 2.07. Bruce Bullington with the 2.10 is right there with him. You almost cannot run better than what these two are running on black and purple currently. Bruce there with a lap that would almost make Gabriel blush. 2.003 best lap, just 0.02 of a second different from a breakout from what Gabriel ran earlier in the IndyCar series. Dead nuts. So several wrecks taking place here towards the end. It looks like yet again we're seeing Weston getting involved in an incident as he's going to get pushed back at the front of the start-finish line with 13 seconds left to go. Now this is round robin heat 2 of 11, so we're already in through our second heat here. It just goes to show you how quick this race actually rolls. It rolls quite quick because there's hardly any wrecks. And as you can see from the medians, from a 2.09 to a 2.35, that's what separates it. Literally 0.3 of a second is the difference between first and last. And of course, you know, they're just getting up higher on the hog there where they can't run down as low as those 2 seconds. Almost would be you would want to get your car to be able to run 2 seconds up on red and just kind of lag your car out to be able to run it down on the lower lanes, and you could essentially run a perfect race if you don't wreck. But we see a lot of people getting their cars in the 2 second range or the 1.9 range down low on black and purple and just letting off a little bit sooner. This is something you kind of see from Nathaniel's car for the most part, is him and Guillermo Sire both run down low like that. We got a yellow flag yet again, but before the yellow flag, we've seen a pretty stark, brutal battle there between Jackson and Bruce, the two fighting for the lead currently, as they were just a bit of give and take back and forth there. Jackson, of course, wanting to get as many laps as he can here on black, but already suffering a couple wrecks here, which put him in second position. He makes a dive bomb down low on, and he gets it taken back from him as Bruce takes and does 2 breakouts. And Jackson actually sends it back his way as Bruce takes a double breakout here with 0 seconds left to go, but it's paused right beforehand. So this may actually put these two right on the same lap yet again, just from that instance taking place. Depends on if Jackson can make it back to home field here within the short amount of time he has. And it doesn't look like they're going to be on the same lap, but literally about 1 lap is what's separating first place currently right now. We can see from the averages 55.5, 55 on average between Bruce and Jackson, just narrowly missing each other. Jackson, of course, turning 2 more laps on purple than what Bruce has turned, but we're going to see what Bruce can turn on black, as we know 55 is a little low because Jackson had a couple wrecks. There in third place, we got a battle between about 4-5 people, it looks like, from Weston all the way up to Carson, 99 to 103. So very, very tight race in there. Guillermo Sire, his first heat in, turning an impressive 52 laps to Jay's 48, so he's a couple laps ahead up on that. Garrett Burden there with 43 laps on white, about 5 laps down off the pace off of his white lane that he turned. Nonetheless, we're going to take it over here to the oval and let you guys watch these guys work diligently on their cars for the next couple minutes, and we'll be right back with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. 4 red lights dropping out to green. And exciting as it can be, we see Guillermo Sire long staring on into the distance as we start this thing. Now Jackson out in the lead with 114 to Bruce Bullington's 114 now. Carson there, 109 all the way down to Weston, very, very close. So we got a car coming off of the track, dropping all the way to the bottom, narrowly missing 3 cars there. And that looks to be Gabriel Kirtley's car. Now, Gabriel Kirtley, of course, just now coming in on red lane. He has opted to still use the 4-inch chassis, but he's opted to use the more expensive nickel-plated chassis, so a little bit silver color on the bottom of his chassis. We can get either type of chassis. They say that the nickel-plated is somewhat a little bit harder than the brass, which is a trade-off, I guess you would say. If you don't wreck a lot, it's great. If you do wreck a lot, it's not so good because the nickel-plated stuff tends to cause creases and break a little bit harder because it's a harder metal, essentially. Nonetheless, we're going back green racing. We still have that tie between Jackson and Bruce. Bruce down on black as he goes to make the pass there on Jackson. And it's a give and take here as we see Jackson rushing hard down low. Just above him, we got Jay Latham. Jay Latham really pushing the subject up high on blue as we can see down low on purple. Carson wanting to try to make a move, and Carson makes that move, passing Jackson like he's setting still almost on the straight stretch. But something may be going awry with Jackson, or maybe Jackson's not pushing his car as hard as he should. But nonetheless, they are starting to collapse a little bit on Jackson. Bruce Bullington out in the lead with 139 right now, turning 29 total laps here. Got a couple other people just a little bit higher than that. Now it's Carson and Jay. Carson really running an impeccable purple lane. Him and Bruce both 2.09, 2.08. And we can see 2 cars getting involved in an incident here. And I believe one of them is Bruce, and the other one might be Carson. So the 2 that I'm just talking about running such great median lap times, looks like they are both getting involved in some incidents. But Bruce today running exceptionally when it comes to medians and best laps. His median of 2.09 and his best lap of 2.004 down on black. So really, really impressive.
What?
As we can see, Carson there on purple lane getting his car put back on. There on black lane, it was Bruce, in fact, our current leader there, getting his car put back on. Jackson's really close. He's about a tenth of a second, actually dead on a tenth of a second, median-wise, behind Bruce. So he's just going to have to try to push a little bit harder there on yellow. And sometimes that's hard to do, especially when it feels like you're already giving it everything you got, and you just don't have that kind of rhythm spot down just yet. But something I have noticed is that Jackson cars tends to want to come alive a little bit more as he gives it just a little bit more of the beans, I guess you would say, and lets that motor warm up a little bit. Jay Latham, also somebody to definitely be watching, as he's pretty good here on the oval here, and we can see him turning the best time of 2.090. Several cars involved in this incident. We can see Weston's car getting picked up, also Guillermo Sire's car getting picked up. And looks like maybe Glenn Burden's getting passed down all the way from the back side of the track there. Glenn Burden supporting the Hudson O'Neal old livery there on his car. Actually, I think he actually took that and showed Hudson O'Neal his car, and he thought that was cool. So, you know, even Hudson O'Neal Jr., I guess you would say, thought it was his daddy's car. But he's like, no, that's your car. So it's kind of funny. Glenn knows more about Hudson O'Neal Jr.'s cars than Hudson O'Neal does. I thought that was kind of funny. But anyways, Hudson O'Neal definitely doing good in dirt, if you haven't noticed. And of course, me and Glenn, pretty good fans of that. Bruce Bullington doing a double break out there on black lane. That pushes Jackson right back up to the lead now. 161 is what Jackson is. As we get almost a full-blown J yet again, 2 or 3 cars being able to access past that. But Carson was involved in one of those, and we can see that Nathaniel Burden also grabbing another car there to bring it around. Now, the other car, I didn't really get a good look at it, but I think it's Guillermo Sire's car off of green lane. Randy Kirtley there straightening out the braids. And yeah, it was Guillermo Sire's red car off of green lane. Guillermo Sire there looking like he's tweaking with his controller, maybe adding some choke or something on his controller so he don't break out. Don't know right now, but right now I do know that he is running a impressive 2.054 there as a best lap on green. Get a red flag rotation. That's round robin 3 in the books, folks, of 11. As we come over here and take a look at the track mate, we'll kind of take a look here at Guillermo Sire's time there. 52.5 on average, a little low in comparison to some. He's right there with Carson Ross, who's currently in 3rd place. Bruce Bullington there in 2nd place with 54.7. He is legit nipping at the toes of Jackson, and I think if he didn't get involved in that incident, he'd be right there up with him. Glenn Burden with 50 laps and Weston there with 49. They're nipping on each other. There's also Nathaniel with 50. All these guys right there with each other. Gabriel Kirtley there, 47, as he turns 47 there on red. A couple laps down, as we can see low on the totem pole there on red, but nonetheless still has a chance at this. We see Garrett, he's still been setting out with 43 as he was the first to set out. I'm going to take you over to the oval real quick and let you watch these guys work on their cars and be right back with you. I don't know. 4 red lights dropping out to green. Here we go, folks. So it looks like Jackson, 168, currently your leader right now. Not to mention Bruce right there on his heels. It's been a battle this whole race long between these two. Carson trying to get up in the mix, though. Him and Jay both with 165 laps. So they're about 10 down from the guys. And really, essentially, you know, we're just talking about 4 wrecks or so, which separate those guys. So Carson about 7 laps now, currently down from Jackson. Bruce now solidifying himself about a lap above what Jackson is. As we get a press of the button here, whoever pressed that button goes back to the start-finish line. And it looks like Weston hit it. So Weston's going to go back to the start-finish line for hitting the button. Jackson and Gabriel Kirtley having a little bit of a conversation there in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. Jackson probably trying to get some intel from Gabe. You know, he's always trying to gather as much information as he possibly can. As being as young as he is, it's like our racing. It's pretty admirable, trying to get as much info as he possibly can. Weston actually taking on a new leaf too. Past week or so, really been trying his best to get as much information as he can. Actually working on his car today quite surprised me. I mean, he had one tire tight, but the other one not so much. But you know, it's pretty good for these guys never actually doing it before, and watching these guys actually take as serious as they had. Now, as for Carcinogen Carson there on the other end of the spectrum here on Black Lane, he's not really had to work on his car that much. He's just he's really been holding it down tight and holding it true, and actually racing quite competitively here as of late. Now, he did have a motor cut down on him Thursday, and he lost half the motor. We ended up having to push start him for about the last 3 heats of the GRC race. 2 cars involved in the incident. Gabriel Kirtley, 3 cars now. Gabriel Kirtley, Weston, Durham, and Carson Ross, all 3 involved in the incident there, as they're all 3 going to get turned back to the start-finish line there. You can see the look of disappointment on Gabriel Kirtley's face. Definitely didn't want to be involved in that. But at the same time, keeping his composure, keeping calm and steady, about to bring this thing back, you know. I do know one thing for sure. Anytime that I've ever been in a race with him, that stuff don't really tend to shake him too bad. He's ready to get back in the fight, ready to go all the way through and take home a victory. We see Glenn Burton getting those cars set up there. Carson down on black, and then the green lane to Gabriel Kirtley and white lane to Weston Durham. A little extra downforce there on the orange car of Jackson Darty there, as he puts his stickers on the rear of the downforce wing spoiler. Not illegal. You can do that here. Plus, it makes it a little bit easier to go ahead and pull your stickers off at the end of the race, so you're not cluttering up your body. But we see a lot of back and forth here between the orange lane and the red lane here. Randy Kirtley and Jackson just neck and neck with each other. But down there on black, Carson running an impressive 2.08 along with Bruce. Both these guys almost running, looks like they're running the same lane. Jay Latham a 2.09 and a 2.040. Tied up with Guillermo is a 2.040. And Guillermo, like I said, he's going to start climbing a little bit. We're going to start noticing that. Very, very tight. 1 second left to go. Bruce Bullington's going to be in the lead at the end of this heat. It's a back and forth between him and Jackson. Like I said, it's a tight race. This race always ends up being super tight. 222 total laps for Bruce Bullington. Jackson kind of dropping off just a little bit in that heat with 218, 54.5 on average. Kind of falling towards Carson's level, 53.5 and 53.2 of Jay Latham on average. But nonetheless, it's still anybody's ball game, especially in the top 4 positions. Now, a lot of these guys have not ran their lower lanes, and some of them are just now getting into the fight here. We see Randy Kirtley now getting into the fight there with 51 total laps. That's 1 lap shy of what Guillermo was able to turn there on red lane. So something to keep an eye on as we progress through these heats and see about where everybody's going to end up being. All right, so here we are. That's round robin 4 of 11. We're going to be coming into the next one here shortly, so stay tuned and watch these guys work hard on their cars. 4 seconds left to go, and we're on by Green Racing. You know the deal. We see Bruce. He's chanting something over there at Glen Burden, it looks like. Nonetheless, here we go. They're dropping out green. We got a cluster forming here at the end of Dead Man's Corner, and one already to the outside of the wall. Looks to be Jay Latham. Are we going to see a full-blown Jay here? All right, looks like we're going to get a call here. So Garrett Burden, his car, coming off there alongside with another car on its lid. Looks to be maybe Gabriel Kirtley's car. Looks a little bit hyper greenish colored. Yep, Gabriel Kirtley, green and blue car. And then alongside with Jay Latham. Like I said, Bruce Bullington out in the lead, already turning 3 laps. Jackson only turning 1, so he must have been involved in that incident too. So not good for Jackson. Like I said, it just takes a couple wrecks just to really drop off the map here. But it's still anybody's ball game for the most part that I see right now. We're not yet halfway through, so a lot of things can change. But from what I'm seeing right now, 4th place all the way up, they definitely have a stab at getting that 1st place mark. 4 red lights drop out to green. Here we go. As we already got another car come off. Looks to be Jay again. Might be having some issues there on Black Lane. As the red car there of Garrett having some issues, and we get a track call. I believe Jay Latham might actually lost a brake, possibly. It could be. I think he might have hooked his controller up wrong, and he might have just lost his brake pod there. For you guys that don't know, it's an analog track, so definitely do not hook your controllers up wrong. It will blow them. So I don't think I have a pro brake in stock right now, but I do have 2 cheap brakes that will stumble the sting of not having a pro brake, I suppose. And Garrett's car coming out on the high banks, taking out 2 other cars. So a lot of wrecks this heat so far. Garrett Burden there trying to reach to get his car. The blue car, Randy Kirtley, and one on its lid that I can't really see right now whose car that is. Jackson doing a little bit of clapping, entertaining Randy Kirtley. I don't know exactly what's going on here. We got several cars come off the track here, and somebody's working on them. So Carson was one of those cars that was the mystery car there. Then of course Garrett and Randy that came off. Here we go. Hopefully we'll get us a nice little rhythm going here. Nope. We got another car coming off. That's Garrett Burden driving her a little too deep there on red lane. As we get a yellow flag touch there. I believe that was Guillermo Sire touched the button, so he's going to get started back at the start-finish line. Usually we don't have track marshals, so the guys are used to slamming the buttons really quick. But as long as they don't hit the button, they let the track marshal put it on, they will not get penalized, other than how long it takes to get the track marshal to put it back on. Now coming up next, folks, here at around 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on how late this race runs, is our Wing Pro Series here at Lanes Raceway. And it's bound to be a good one, as we got several newcomers coming in to race. And we got, of course, the old fellas that's been in it for a bit. They've done a little bit of working on their cars, so they're hoping to gain just a few tenths or so a second. But we'll see how that goes coming up next. There on White Lane, we got Jackson Darty getting put back on there again, followed with Randy Kirtley and Carson Ross, as we see Glenn Burden getting them put back on there. Carson Ross just taking over Jackson there for second place. Jackson falling to third there, getting very, very close to Jay Latham. Bruce Bullington in a league of his own currently there with 265 total laps. Running, like I said, all race long impressively there at the 2-second lap time, median of a 2.15. Only being bested by Jay and Guillermo currently. So we see Garrett Burton's car get put back on really quick there on red lane. We get a red flag rotation right there, folks, and that right there is going to put us over halfway. As we can see, Bruce Bullington there, 278 total laps turned, 55.6 on average to Carson's 53.4, 52.8, 52.8 at Jackson and Jay on the same lap, 54.2 of Guillermo Sires, so he's going to be climbing up there a little bit, and 47.5 of Weston. 52 of Gabriel, 50 on average for Glenn, 51 on average for Randy, 58 on average for Nathaniel, and 42.5 for Garrett, where he kind of suffered such a hard turn of events there on his first heat. I'm going to leave you guys over here with the oval, and let you watch these guys work. We'll be right back with you. All right, folks, here we go. 4 red lights dropping out to green, and we're going racing. Bruce Bullington, like I said, in the lead, 280 laps, about 10 or so laps above Carson currently. As Carson's rushing as hard as he can to try to get up there in the mix. Jay Latham there in third place, battling with everything he's got. Guillermo Sire coming out of nowhere here. But, you know, he's making his climb too, and he's going to start getting quite a few laps here down low on Black Lane. Gabriel Kirtley and Randy Kirtley, several heats left to go for them also. Nathaniel Burton up there on Red Lane, used to taking home first place. We'll see how he ends up developing as the race continues on. And then, of course, Garrett Burton there having some issues, you know, this race already, and it pretty much solidified him at the very beginning, which is sad, but it happens sometimes. As Guillermo Sire and what looks to be Randy Kirtley and Carson Ross, all three getting involved in the incident there, all going back to the front of the start-finish line. Minute and 29 seconds left to go. These races go pretty quick when they're on the circle track and everybody's handling pretty well. Not a whole lot of incidents to take place and stuff like that. It looks like Guillermo Sire there maybe messing with the choke yet again, trying to get that thing dialed in as close to 2 seconds as he possibly can. This is the type of stuff that you really got to focus in on. It's like about the controller in the car itself, about where you can keep your car rolling. We do allow digital controllers here at Lanes Raceway, so unless it's a power adder or something like that, you can dial that stuff in. Now the DeFalco controllers, like what Randy Kirtley and others are using, the 281s and 280 Pros and stuff like that, they do this with traction control to kind of choke out the motor a little bit. Anyways, we got 2 more cars coming off there. One of them, Randy Kirtley. Randy Kirtley dive bombing, taking out a couple other people there. It was brutal. He just straight up smoked Carson Ross there. Maybe a little payback. I don't know. Carson got him a while ago, so maybe he's just trying to get a little piece of that Carson there through the crook of the track. Gabriel Kirtley's car trying to get past here through Nathaniel, and also the red car of Guillermo Sire all going back to the start-finish line. Very few made it through that, but at least half the pack there taken out in one fell swoop. Don't forget, folks, at any time, if you want to chat, you want to say hello, want to let anybody know what's going on, I'll check chat down here in the bottom. If I see anybody pop up, we'll check back over here on chat and everything like that. But we usually keep it on the big screen so you guys can watch the race. But just know I do check on that if you guys wanted to say something. Might not get it instantaneously as we're commentating the race, but we'll try to get to it as soon as possible. Like I said, the chat is live on YouTube currently here at Lanes Raceway. 4 red lights drop out to green, and here we go. Guillermo Sire was able to make a little bit of a stab out there on the black lane, but there up on purple, we see Gabriel Kirtley trying to make a move, and right above him, Randy Kirtley there on blue lane. Gabriel Kirtley kind of just biding his time, just hanging out behind Guillermo in hopes that maybe Guillermo messes up and he can go ahead and make the pass. As you can see, he's keeping about a 3 to 4 car length difference between the two in case he does come out, it doesn't hit him. But he's running fast enough that Gabriel has decided that it's just a good cushioning spot to set in. As we can see, both Guillermo and Gabriel Kirtley running impressive medians of 2.07, 2.09. If Gabriel wasn't pushing any harder than this, we'd probably start hearing some breakout noises. So at the end of that round robin 6 heat of 11, we can go over here and kind of take a look at Gabriel, 52.8, tied up with Jackson currently, and Guillermo with 53.8. So we see Guillermo trying to make a move to the front portion, second in the average currently, next to Bruce Bullington. Bruce Bullington's been on fire today, just railing it out, just hammering it home, staying right there at that 2-second breakout time. 54.7 for Bruce Bullington as he comes to do his final 2 heats. Going to be tough to catch Bruce, especially with how well his car has been rolling today. He's been hammering it home, folks. So definitely stay tuned. We'll be getting back into racing in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, like always, watch the guys work on their cars. You might see something. All right, folks, 2 seconds before we go by green racing. And Jay Latham turning the first lap. Now, Jay Latham currently in the lead as Randy Kirtley does his first break out there down on purple lane. He's going to slow her down a smidge. Him and Gabriel Kirtley need to kind of line lock together as Gabriel Kirtley there on black running to a 2.07. He's really, really tight. So both these guys really can't mess with that. They need to hang about those medians down low to be able to move up. Gabriel Kirtley making his first break out there on black lane. But both of these guys, for sure, about a tenth of a second faster than Guillermo. So as long as they don't wreck, they should be able to catch Guillermo towards the end. Guillermo right now currently in third position with 289 with prospects to move up higher. Jay Latham right now on orange lane, so he's got this one and one more before he's done. And then Carson there on white lane coming out after this. Carson currently in second position. So far running a pretty smooth race here tonight, and not too much of an issue here. As we can see, he's running a 2.4 as the median and a 2.3 is his best. So he's nowhere near breakout speeds, but he is running consistent and keeping his car on. That's what it takes to get those laps up. 45 seconds left to go here in the heat. We see a change in position here between Nathaniel and Glenn. Nathaniel moving himself up a little bit, 184 tied up with these two. Randy Kirtley there on purple lane, 194 as he's getting his medians down low. Him and Gabriel Kirtley running pretty close there, neck and neck, as Randy Kirtley makes a pass on the inside of purple, but it's immediately rejected by Guillermo Sire. Randy Kirtley then hits 2 seconds dead nuts, and that causes a breakout for him. So that's a second lap for both of those guys. Now Randy taking another break out there on purple as we get 3 cars run to the high outside there, but they're immediately put on by the track marshals here. We can see one getting a little bit of a love tap there. Carson Ross currently in second position. We get a red flag rotation with no track stoppage that heat. Very, very tight, very, very close running of this race. 53.3 on average for Jay Latham, so he's up there too. Carson Ross, 51.6 in second place. Bruce Bullington, the man to keep an eye on right now, 54.7 on average with Guillermo. 54.5. It's going to boil down to the wire with these two. One lap separates these two from differences. And I'll tell you what, it's showing. As Bruce is going to come back in eventually and finish up his 2 heats, we got 54.5 and 54.7. That's going to be a battle of the ages for sure. Gabriel Kirtley, 53.4. We're going to have to increase that a little bit to be messing with the big dogs, him and Jay both. But him and Jay, as always, neck and neck with one another. Jackson and Randy fighting it out. So hero and mentor, I guess, a little bit of a battle going there. Then Glenn, Weston, and Garrett all kind of battling it out. Nathaniel having a little bit less of a prospecting night than usual. He's usually used to being up front, battling it out for the lead. So about a minute and 45 seconds, we'll be right back with you. All right, 4 red lights drop out to a green. Here we go, folks. We're back in it. 8 of 11. We are definitely over halfway as we see Bruce Bullington trying his best to get cars put on. And it looks like one of them's going to go get set back, probably the other one too. Randy Kirtley breaking out again, but barely down there on Black Lane. It's a different style of racing, breakout racing is. So we see Randy Kirtley there teching with his controller there, turning up a little bit of traction control possibly to deaden that motor a little bit so that he doesn't break out as bad, but still keep that nice smooth rhythm. A little bit of a grind of a gear. Couldn't tell you which car that was, but it didn't sound good taking off. Randy Kirtley breaking out yet again down there on Black Lane, costing him 2 laps this heat. Different style of racing. Like I said, it's tough. But, you know, if you get that rhythm down and you let off in the proper position, there's still a chance that you can bring this thing home. One thing we're noticing here, just like I said earlier, that Weston, you know, being down on some tires here, swapping tires around to get his stuff to work, we can see a lot of slopping back and forth on his car, just simply from tire wear. Not a whole lot of it left. He's really low to the ground as he shoots to the high side, but catches back up on red lane somehow. Luck on his side. He definitely hooked her back there. Unbelievable, folks. As we see 2 cars getting involved in the incident here. One of them, Nathaniel Burden. Somebody hit the track call button. Looks to be Gabriel Kirtley, I guess, hit it as he goes back over here to the start-finish line. 1 minute, halfway through this heat. Race moving on very quickly, as you can tell. Just now 6 o'clock here, and we're running 11 heats. This normal circumstances, if we only had 8 racers, the race would be over with after this heat. Randy Kirtley breaking out yet again. That's the 3rd time this heat, I think. So gonna have to slow her down a smidge. Guillermo Sire breaking out up on orange lane, folks. So he's really hammering it home here. Guillermo Sire currently in 2nd position with 363 total laps. As Jay Latham's going to be coming out this next heat. Garrett and Weston in somewhat of a battle there down low. Nathaniel and Glenn in a battle, and Nathaniel and Randy in a battle. Gabriel Kirtley and Guillermo Sire, a little bit of a spread there. So Gabriel kind of in no man's land there in 3rd position, and Guillermo Sire there in 2nd position. So Guillermo's going to run 1 more lane after this, and he'll be setting out. But if we take a look at the track mate here now that Guillermo's moving up, 54.7. He's now tied up, averagely speaking, with Bruce Bullington. It's going to boil down to a battle of the ages between these two as we see Bruce Bullington coming back in next heat. Guillermo's going to end his heats here. But just to do some comparisons here, we have 56-56 on orange and blue for him, 58-58, 56 on Guillermo to 54 of Bruce on purple, but 52 on Guillermo on black and 54 for Bruce. So an equal exchange back and forth. These guys are trading blows back and forth. So a battle of the Goliaths here. Big Daddies on the oval. We'll see how they fare. And we can also see that Jay Latham's still in the mix here with 52.8. And we got a couple other people's coming up too. 53.5 of Gabriel Kirtley and 52.8 of Jackson and Randy. So definitely don't count these guys out. They're only a couple wrecks away from victory when it comes to the guys, the big heavy hitters, Bruce and Guillermo, this race. Minute and 39 seconds. We'll be right back with you. All right, folks, here we go. You know the deal. 4 red lights drop out to a green. We are on round robin 9 of 11. Just a couple more to go, and this heat and race is over. Guillermo Sire now currently your leader as he's coming out this heat. 385 total laps. Gabriel Kirtley there with 325 laps right there in second place. Randy Kirtley 270. And then we see a big change. So Randy Kirtley and protege Jackson Darty there fighting for third position. 1 lap difference between the two. Nathaniel Burden and Father Glenn Burden there. About 8 laps difference separates those two. Weston and Garrett kind of somewhere in no man's land with one another. About 10 laps separates those two. Nonetheless, we got a nice smooth race in here. So we get a nice gentle let off there from Jackson to keep his back end from getting slammed. As we see 2 cars go from the inside all the way out. Down low, black lane there is not supposed to be Guillermo Sires. His car needs to be moved off the track and put in front of the start-finish line. And the one on black is Garrett. He needs to be moved back just a smidge so he catches this lap. But Weston and Guillermo getting started back at the start-finish line here. We can see Randy Kirtley there yet again with those impressive lap medians, 2.09. If he could just keep those medians up and not cause the breakout to take place. But I'll tell you what, he's running an impressive race here. The breakouts have literally costed many people in this series so far. But I'll tell you what, he's about got her toned in. Him, Guillermo, and Bruce Bullington for sure. Gabriel Kirtley also in that mix too. He likes running right there on the ragged edge. So very, very close to those medians. Nathaniel Burden here, we usually see him fighting as hard as he can down low and fighting for those medians. But we see him kind of off a little bit here with 2.11. Usually it could be his motor's just finally getting wore down a little bit. But he's used to taking that first place there. Him and Garrett tied up with 211. It might be time for a motor transplant. Who knows? Several cars coming off in that incident there in Dead Man's Corner. It looks like the first car getting put back is Randy Kirtley, that blue machine. And there on green, we're going to see Weston yet again. And on white, Guillermo Sire. Weston and Guillermo having a little bit of back and forth on this heat. If you get near Weston, he's going to try to wall you. He's made that known. If he's on the inside, don't come up on the outside of me. So, all those be warned. I think Jackson reiterating that also as he's up on red lane. But Weston, even if he isn't trying to wreck him, he's down an issue with his car here. So we can see Weston coming around the crook of the track there down into Dead Man's Corner on green lane. We can see him come through that crook of that track and watch the back end of his car swap back and forth. That's because the tires are either dirty or too low and he's dragging chassis. Nonetheless, or he could be bent, which is probably more likely the case. Either way, a few incidents were caused. Jay Latham and Guillermo Sire tied up 52.8 on average here. Both of them on the same lap. 1 second, folks. All right, Jay and Guillermo, y'all need to know where y'all are located because y'all are both tied up. And Gabriel Kirtley there in third position, 362 to Carson's 361. Bruce Bullington coming back in the mix for the next 2 heats here as Jay and Guillermo both have to set and watch and see if Bruce can bring this home. If all things go great, we're going to see Bruce there really hit it home. He should win it by about 6 laps. That would be my estimation if he runs those perfect lanes good. He should win it by 6 laps because both Jay and Guillermo 422, and you expect to be about 50 or so laps per heat. So nonetheless, 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go. I'm going to leave you guys here with the oval. Watch these guys work. We see Guillermo there patiently waiting now. We'll see you here in about 1 minute and 30. we go, folks. We're fixing to go by green racing. As you can see, we are disconnected here. Give me just a moment to get that back up and rolling. Uh-oh. Here we go. I got it. This does this every race. You guys know that. But we'll get her back up there. And here we go. So I just got the news for those patiently waiting. If you are or if you ain't, I don't know. Well, doesn't look like many people's in the chat. I haven't checked online to see how many people's actually watching on YouTube, or Facebook, or Twitch. But nonetheless, for those that are patiently waiting to see if it was Guillermo in the lead or Jay, Guillermo let me know that Jay is in the lead in front of him, and that last heat was brutal. So, and of course, you guys know Weston having some issues there with his car swapping back and forth, and Guillermo trying his best to just rush it. You know, got caught up a few times in the high banks from that swapping back and forth. And I mean, sometimes, you know, cars that are in not the best condition end up causing others to, you know, get held up and lose races. So in this situation, that's what happened to Guillermo. But, you know, Weston at the same aspect couldn't have predicted that his tires were just going to lay down on him on this race. I knew he was close when it comes to tire meet, but he did pass Tech. So, you know, I mean, after they pass Tech and they leave here, it's really about sheer aggression. As we see there on the yellow lane, Garrett Burden straight sent Weston there on the blue lane as he drove down on the inside pretty hard and sent Weston. But nonetheless, that's racing, folks. If you want the best opportunity whatsoever to win at a race, you got to buy new parts every time you race. So it's all about judgment. It's all about whether or not you want to try to push it that way. If not, then, you know, just know that you're with people that could have those less built out cars. Now, I am of the person, you know, drive that thing until it's baloney rinds. Try to keep it as tight as you can with, you know, without breaking the bank if you can. Now, if you can't, then by all means, I say buy a set of tires every time, buy a set of braid every time. Because after all, I'm here to win. But if I can win with less stuff, then I save money and I still get them, you know, get the win. But it's all about the win at the end of the day for me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And as we can see here tonight, especially Ohio Valley Lawncare Late Model Series, it has been nothing but a knockout, drag out, beat of the ages here with 20 seconds left to go and this almost over with here. These guys have been racing their hearts out, not hardly wrecking, beating and banging on each other, sure, but what a race we had. Gabriel Kirtley's going to end up finishing this heat in first place, but he's out after this, and Bruce still has another run, and we know that Randy Kirtley does too. Bruce Bullington running an impeccable race here tonight. The best showing I've probably seen from Bruce in probably a year or so. He's got that car in tune, folks, running those almost perfect 2-second lap times. Jay Latham right now still in the lead, and Guillermo right there with him. Like I said, they tied up. Gabriel Kirtley there finishes his race with 4:11, 11 laps down. Bruce Bullington still yet to go, one more heat. If he, like I said, if he finishes 50 laps here, we're going to see him win by 6 laps. Randy Kirtley right there behind him with 362, and Carson with 361. The deal is with them, you know, a couple breakouts that cost you. Of course, Nathaniel, his motor probably laying down, maybe a tire issue, I don't know. But he's used to be running right up there with the guys too, just neck and neck. Jackson, new chassis, new bunch of things, but he's not done too bad today. A lot of back-to-back side-by-side battling with Randy Kirtley, but we can see there on the red lane, he suffered hard on the red lane. Just popped off my screen there. I wasn't able to see much more of that. Minute and 40 seconds. We'll be right back with you. I'll leave you guys here with the oval. Here we go, folks. 4 red lights dropping out to green. We're coming into the final bit here. And the man of the hour right now, Bruce Bullington. Here we are. Round robin, 11-11. Bruce Bullington, your leader, about 20 laps ahead currently of Randy Kirtley Carson. And it's all on Bruce. If Bruce can just keep his car level and steady here, he's going to bring it home. And what a smooth ride he's got here. As we watch and focus in here on Dead Man's Corner, he's coming out of there. Not a whole lot of swap back and forth through the crook of the track. This thing's accelerating quick. It's dropping off quick. He's smooth. I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, watch him. He's coming down on that red lane. He's passed him before they even knew. This is the type of car it takes, folks. Good dedication, good work on the car to bring this thing home. As we see him make a nice clean pass there on second place there, Randy Kirtley currently. And he does it nice and smoothly. And probably because he's got brand new everything on the car. I don't know. But at the same aspect, I do know Bruce knows how to build a good circle track car. And he's got this baby flying. As he makes a pass from Garrett, who's on the inside. Garrett possibly down on power. He's been on that same power plant for quite some time, but everything works out. Good to see Bruce on top, and he is smoking it home. And I'll tell you what, the body, I don't know if you guys was able to see that or not from the camera, but he's got some glitter on that thing. That is one of the most prettiest bodies I've seen, and that helps a lot. It's just like golf. A lot of people say it's preference, and I believe that. If you have a really pretty body and a little bit close incident there, but if you have a really pretty body or you have a really good set of clubs and it's just something you like to look at, you tend to do a lot better. I guess the placebo effect's in effect. Randy Kirtley coming off there, exchanging his lead with Nathaniel Burden. Nathaniel Burden was able to dive bomb down in there and take that on yellow lane. So Nathaniel's car, maybe down a little bit on power now as he's had a few races under his belt. Everybody looking like they probably need him a new motor, it looks like. But at the same aspect, man, Bruce has ran a flawless race here. His medians were always impeccable, didn't break out, kept that baby right there at the 2.2 as maximum and all the way down to 2.06, 05, something like that down low. So running impeccably on average speaking. And it's, like I said, good to see the streak back on top. As he's been battling hard. A hard strain of a year there as we heard a big whine take place. And we got the checker flags here. So let's see who's going to bring it home. So we got another tie here. I need to make an announcement on that. Need to know where Randy, Nathaniel, and Gabriel are located as they're tied. Glenn Burden and Jackson also need to know where you guys finished because you're tied. And congratulations, Bruce Bullington. You're going to bring it home by 11 laps. Yeah, I've already got the Jay got it. So we got several ties here. This just goes to show you how close racing can be. And they're really super close here at Lanes Raceway. That's why I said, in the future, we're going to see this race more and more. And we're only going to see these margins get tighter and tighter. Of course, we see Wes in there down at the bottom, some busted tires and stuff. Garrett having the Grand Prix start early on really killed him when he lost 6 laps right out of the gate. And then, we see everybody else, which is pretty much close. Jackson there, of course, 406 with Glenn, all the way up to 433. So we're only looking at 20-something laps separating first from last if you get right down to it. Averagely speaking, they're all within the 50s if everything was on the up and up. Anyways, this is Donnie here at Lanes Raceway. Thank you guys for tuning in to what is turning out to be my favorite series of all time, the Ohio Valley Lawncare Dirt Late Model Series here at Lanes Raceway. Coming up next, and it's going to be quick, we're going to be starting the Wing Car Series here race on the Orange, and it is a pro class, wide open Group F mod class here at Lanes Raceway. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you here shortly.